Erling Haaland has had quite the career, coming up through the Norwegian ranks. Playing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Molde is where his career really began to take off. He performed well in his robotic sense that we have all become used to, before later moving to RB Salzburg. This is where he would put himself on the map, scoring 9 goals in one game for Norway. Everybody was onto this kid, and then after a season or two for RB Salzburg, he would light up the Champions League, scoring hat-tricks consecutively, scoring against Liverpool, and really putting his name on the map. He had amassed interest from big clubs such as Man United, Juventus, and also Borussia Dortmund, which is where he would find himself the next season, playing incredible football, getting in behind. This is where Haaland really did propel his career. The likes of Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham coming by his side and assisting him in his pursuit of trophies and non-stop glory. This is where the 50 million release clause would become viable the season afterwards. Man City would then come calling to get their man, their goal scorer that they lacked since Sergio Aguero. His dad played for him, and now it was time for Erling to step foot in Manchester. As we know, Erling Haaland realistically put himself on the world stage when he joined RB Salzburg, playing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at first, initially under Molde. One manager who almost did get his hands on Haaland again, and it could have changed his career entirely, but for the most part he played it perfectly. Salzburg was the place where he really shone. Ultimately, everywhere he's been, he has scored and had more goal contributions than appearances. And that was no different at Salzburg, scoring a hat-trick against Genk, scoring against Napoli, and obviously scoring against Liverpool, a team who ended up picking Minamino over Haaland. That was the time where Manchester United were interested, but ultimately he picked Dortmund, and Dortmund is just a great place, a great hub to develop players. The Bellingham, Sancho, Haaland, who have they got now? Adeyemi, does he still play there? It's absolutely electric, and they're a selling club still, which is a bit unfortunate, but their coaching and their staff and their development of players is world class, and you saw that with Erling Haaland. He lit up the Bundesliga, almost brought Dortmund to a title in terms of the league. I think they did win the DFK Pokal, didn't they, once, but his time at Dortmund was exceptional, and that is where everybody looked at him as a robot. People drew comparisons to Kylian Mbappe, you know, the Haaland and Mbappe relationship. Will it be the Messi-Ronaldo? I don't think that rivalry, Messi-Ronaldo, will ever... You're going to wait at least 100, 200 years for something like that. Two professionals who are at the top of their game and the world's best, playing in the same league, constantly competing each other for over 10 years. I don't think that'll happen again, but that is not Haaland's problem. Worked hard at Dortmund, albeit he did end up getting an injury at the last season, or the season before, where he suffered a little bit, and he does get a few nicks and knocks everywhere he goes sometimes. It's happened for Man City occasionally, but for the most part he's a powerhouse, and he would follow his dad's footsteps, signing for Manchester City, where he would be absolutely exceptional and do something the Premier League has never seen. And now what can you say about Erling Haaland at Manchester City other than boom, he was on fire. Everybody doubted him, including myself at times, thinking that he's not going to do what he did in Germany, in England. And after the first game against Liverpool in the Community Shield, we could have been right. But then after that, he scored goal after goal after goal. He literally was a machine. Hat-trick after hat-trick after hat-trick. It was something that the Premier League had never seen, breaking countless records, beating Alan Shearer's record, and he led City to glory. Although he might rely on the service, the goals that he provided in that season did lead to Manchester City winning a historic treble. And Erling Haaland, although in the finals might not have been great, he did provide massive value to the squad in reaching those trophies. And now, what is next for Erling Haaland this season? It could be considered a fall-off, but he's still got over 20 goals, and he's still a machine. He relies very heavily on service, and when those players are not there, he can be nullified. Always compared to Mbappe. Are these two going to be on the level of Lionel Messi and Ronaldo? At the moment, it seems very, very unlikely. Although they are probably the best players of this generation at the moment, there's always new blood coming through. Erling Haaland faces new challenges now. Will he be able to reinvent himself and create goals in different ways? What is next for Erling Haaland? And I think as a Premier League fan, Erling Haaland doing what he did in that first season, we sort of brush over. We act like that he's just Haaland, you know, he's done really well. but nobody ever saw anyone in the history of the Premier League perform like that. What you saw that season, I know Man City the best team in that season and what they did, and you could say De Bruyne and all this, but what he did, the records he broke, and the trophies he won is unprecedented. It is. I know Lionel Messi might have done it in the league and Ronaldo had these records, but in terms of the English league, appreciate what you saw. It very much becomes normalised, doesn't it? Of you see these great players, but you don't truly appreciate them until they're older or until they've retired. Like you look at Haaland, he's got many years to come. Salah, what he has done consistently, and the way he's only really just be given his flowers and potentially might win a Ballon d'Or. You have to look and think, fuck me, that was an incredible season. And the way he dragged Manchester City, or I say dragged, he really did help them drag Manchester City to the trophies in that season, winning a treble. Each player had to work hard. Grealish did well that season, Rodri. But Erling Haaland was almost the main man. Haaland has very much came into City and been their next Sergio Aguero if they're one. I know the playing style is very different, don't get me wrong. He is an out-and-out goal scorer, and technically on the ball, he might not be as good to watch. But it's a bit like how Ronaldo has turned the end of his career. He's in the right place at the right time. He knows how to score goals, and most of the time, when he shoots, it's going to go in the back of the net. That is just the Erling Haaland formula. Sometimes, yes, he's had to adapt in terms of he can't just run in behind all the time. He's maybe there for a tap in. He's not going to score absolutely worldies of goals all the time, but he has also banged a few top bins, etc. Erling Haaland has been a revelation at Man City, and I'm sure they appreciate that treble, because if he weren't there, would they have reached it? It's a different equation. I think that one season just before where they played Foden in the false nine, Pep managed to figure a system out, but they was crying out for a striker like Haaland. They finally got him, and he has provided time and time again. After signing a 50-year contract at Man City, giving him basically his whole career away to them, he has devoted his life, it seems, at that club. Maybe there's a release clause in that new contract, but it shocked the world when he found out he was signing pretty much an 8-year deal. He will become a Man City legend, and I think the way he's going, he will become their best ever player, their most iconic player, a Man City legend. Not that it's hard to do. His father was once there, and now he is now the leader of Manchester City pretty much. But as we've saw this season, he has very much not been at his most prolific. Although he has scored 20 goals, the service from the likes of De Bruyne, Foden and other players have not been as good, and it is easier to defend against him this season. With Mo Salah being so prolific, he has had the limelight taken away from him, and although Mbappe and Haaland might have got comparisons to Ronaldo and Messi, it's very clear that they're not on that level, but they will compete with each other. Two very different style of players. Erling Haaland is all about hard work, dedication and discipline, and he does that day in, day out, and I'm sure for years to come he will win countless trophies with Manchester City and also score countless goals. Unless he gets some serious injury, Erling Haaland is going to become a Premier League legend. And now that contract, let's talk about that contract, because Erling Haaland, if he does stay, will be about 37 or 38 by the time he's done with Man City. That contract is ridiculous. Did it set a record for the longest contract? Obviously, wage-wise, I know it's easier for the club to manage and they get away with pay and all that shite. But for the most part, Haaland's committed his future to Man City, and I believe there's trophies to come. Like, obviously, he's so young. There is the prospect of will he ever go to Real Madrid. I think, potentially, yes, he could do in the rest of his career. But you look elsewhere. Where could he go other than Real Madrid, taking out the equation? There's Barcelona, maybe, but at the moment they've got Lewandowski. Man City committing his future there for the moment. You don't know. There could be an outrageous release clause that he could use, but it's smart. They're an absolute powerhouse at the moment. Pep has made them a powerhouse, although this season might not have gone their way. Haaland still got 20 goals, but everyone's saying he's having a drop-off of a season, which it's just weird, isn't it? He set the bar so high, you always get compared to that. So, let's say if, I don't know, pick a player, a random, not shitter, but say Mateus Cunha scores 20 goals for Wolves. Now, I know this is completely different because the sort of team that you're playing in, the quality in Manchester City, it is different, but you'd be like, he's having a great season. Whereas Haaland, because of the bar that he set, it is a bit of a mid-season for him. Ultimately, could he change his style of play? to involve other players and maybe, you know, his dribbling is not the best. I don't think he can be classed at the moment, at the stage of his career, as going to become one of the best. In terms of on the ball, you watch him, he's not brilliant, but he's a brilliant goal scorer, and he will be compared to the Premier League greats for sure in that case. But in terms of best in the world, I don't know. But Erling Haaland, though, in terms of career-wise, if City build the team around him, you know, De Bruyne is getting a bit older, but if they get those creative players in, whether they have to bring in someone else, they've got the money to do it. I only see trophies and goals for Haaland. That is what it is, because on his day, and his day is pretty much consistently every game week, most of the time, when he's on it, he is unstoppable. And yes, he will get, because of how high the bar is, he'll get this and that, you know, he's dropped off, he's missing sitters. Manchester City at the moment are in a bad vein of form, and it will go across the whole team, and Erling Haaland's not exempt for that. But when they are at their best, we have saw what Erling Haaland can do. And I think, depending on where it goes after Pep Guardiola, if they do it successfully and get a great manager in, Haaland can become unstoppable.